Morrissey, it seems, used to be fascinated with Saddleworth Moor, as are many in the Manchester area in which he grew up. Part of the Peak District which straddles Lancashire and Yorkshire, it is a brooding and wild place, with the notorious connection to the Brady and Hindley murders, which Morrissey depicted hauntingly in the Smiths' song Suffer Little Children. In his 2013 autobiography, he recalls 2 trips there, including one night in 1989, where he and 3 friends drove out to the moor on a whim, and saw something rather disturbing. Once again we are silenced by the expanse of blackness, and Tim drives more cautiously than ever. In the midst of this hostile landscape, the Mercedes bobs gently like a small ship lost at sea, our silent engine heaving through, and we safe within. We all murmur a soft sigh of recognition as the entrance to the turnoff finally appears. "I don't think there's any point in me indicating," says Tim, as the wheels turn us onto the awaiting road. And it is here that it happens. As the Mercedes made its measured manoeuvre to the right, throwing 2 strong arms of light onto the new road, rising up from the black of the earth came a figure, standing upright and then throwing his arms towards our lights, in a terrifying and unspeakably forlorn plea for our attention. United in shock, we all gave a low cry at the sight of this spectre. Within a split second of a hair's breadth, Linda shouts, "Stop the car!" and Tim jerks a fast brake. "No!" I bang on the back of Tim's seat, and then Tim just as quickly lifts his foot from the brake and accelerates. James recoils from the passenger door, where, just beyond, stood this wretched vision of sallow cheeks and matted, shoulder-length hair, a boy of roughly 18 years, wearing only a humiliatingly short anorak coat that was open to expose the white of his chest and the nakedness of the rest of his body. The vision chilled our blood as the boy threw out his arms in a forsaken, Christ-like appeal. Zooming away, and with him now lost in the dark, our talk is a clutter of "What was it?" and "Jesus, what?" and "How could any being be alive out here?" We had all seen the same thing, so there was no misunderstanding the form that the vision took. The worn face had pleaded for us to stop or to notice him. His body rose to full height, as if he had been crouched in wait, hidden in the browny purples, or else he had climbed the hillside to reach the road in order to flag us down. But something was amiss. He was very thin and quite tall, and apart from his nakedness, there would be one curious factor that struck all of us at once, and this was how all the components of his body, face, hair, skin, crumpled little jacket, stood out as one sheet of grey. Morrissey and his friends later come across a phone box where they call the police. We squeeze into the phone box where we call the local police. Tim explains everything to the police, but they cut him short. Tim pushes on. "But the point is he was naked, and I'm sure you realise it's below freezing point out here, and—" "It is no good." Tim hangs up and we look to him for an explanation. He said a lot of strange things have been reported on the Wessendon Road and that we should keep an open mind. Keep an open mind about someone in distress, I balk. He is telling us that what we have just seen is commonly known as a ghost. Back in the car, we are all somewhat numb. "You do realise what's just happened," says James. "We've all seen a ghost." We know this to be true, and our hearts sink. In fact, we knew this to be true as soon as the vision hit our eyeline, and that is why we were all so instantly overcome with grief. We consider the possibilities, and Linda suggests that, if real and alive, the boy had possibly broken free and fled from a nearby farmhouse, where he had been subjected to either violence or rape, and in a fit of exhaustion he had reached the road and saw our Mercedes as his only hope. James agreed, adding that the boy was obviously being hunted. Somehow I disagreed. My instincts told me that he had been placed as bait at the scene of an ambush, where cars are flagged down by a distressed figure, only then to be surrounded by marauders once the car had stopped. Tim held another view, saying that the boy was obviously a lunatic who had parked his car in darkness and who enjoyed the triumph of terrifying people. Morrissey and his friends stay up all night and cannot get the incident out of their heads. They return there in the morning to investigate. Saddleworth Moor at 9 a.m, was merely a slightly brighter version of its hellish nighttime, and our bodies still shook with the snapping cold. This spot, at the corner of Wessenden Road, offered no clues as to the origin of the visitation. Just miles and miles of friendless moorland, its craggy wet earth a living death that no soul could plough through. A weight fell as we noticed a pair of Y-front underpants discarded in the wet grass, discoloured from dirt, but certainly of the type which an 18-year-old might wear. We shook our heads and we shivered. The surrounding grassland and the roadside, with its absence of any footpath, indicated nothing at all. He, or his cohorts, could not have parked a vehicle just off the road, for this deep, wet earth would have pulled it in for good. If our spectre had been here last night, would he also not be here now, watching us? In a desperate bid for survival, he had called to us with the full of his lungs. Being mortal, we could not help, except with the discipline of prayer, which may have been all he required. How many unfortunates have Saddleworth Moor as their final resting place? At another point in the autobiography, Morrissey moves to a flat that he believes is haunted. The flat is haunted, as everyone who calls by testifies, even if the chilled atmosphere is initially assumed to be me. Air of leaden fatigue hangs outside of the bathroom, as if something is standing there right in the hallway. There is also a heavy sense of sadness in the bedroom where I sleep, an atmosphere I am used to leaving behind, but not finding as I arrive. Later, a friend of Morrissey's who is into spirituality and tarot pops round. Jill arrives at Haunton Court and freezes on the threshold. A mute minute pauses as she wanders down the hallway, only to stop outside the bathroom. "Morrissey," she begins, in a voice softer than usual. "There's something here." Stalking her prey, her heels dig in. "And it's here." She stands squarely on the spot where whatever it was has stopped me in my tracks every single day. I say nothing to my mother and sister as they settle down for a night in the guest bedroom, both watching a small light travel through the centre of the room. I am relieved at last to not be quite so alone, as the walls hum unpleasantly.